So, in the world of Counter-Strike esports, there is this wild, totally unregulated war raging. It's a crazy story, full of millionaire casino owners, real-world harassment, and a very, very strange bribe that kicked this whole investigation off.
You see, this entire thing started with a bounty. An investigator was offered $20,000, not to find the truth, but to create a paid hit piece on a rival online casino. Now, he refused the bribe, but it opened up a rabbit hole into a conflict that was way bigger and, frankly, a lot stranger than anyone could have imagined.
But to really get what's going on here, we have to go to the most public flashpoint in this whole feud. This is the moment this online war literally crashed into the real world, live in front of almost 2 million people. Okay, so picture this. The PGL Majors in Copenhagen, it's one of the biggest Counter-Strike tournaments ever. We're talking $1 million prize pool, a totally packed arena, and then bam, chaos. Protesters storm the stage right in the middle of a game, shattering the championship trophy as the live broadcast just spirals into confusion. And all of their signs, they were all pointed at one target, a gambling site sponsoring a team called CSGO Roll. But here's the twist. These weren't your typical activists. No. It came out pretty quickly that these protesters were actually paid to be there. And who paid them? A rival casino called CSGO Empire. So, this wasn't some ethical stand about gambling. This was one casino owner orchestrating a live attack on another. And the man behind it all? He wanted everyone to know. So who's pulling the strings here? Well, it's the owner of CSGO Empire, a man who calls himself Monarch. And he didn't just plan the protest, he live-streamed himself directing the whole operation, openly offering cash to anyone who would run on stage. This is a guy who wants the credit. And this is where it gets kind of strange. In his mind, Monarch isn't the villain, he's not even a ruthless competitor. He is, in his own words, a hero. He genuinely sees himself as a crusader, a kind of scam buster who's cleaning up a corrupt industry. And to do that, he keeps this public wall of shame with every single influencer and rival he's targeting. He promises he's going to deliver his own brand of justice by getting them deplatformed, investigated, and maybe even jailed. For him, this isn't just business. It's a holy war. So you might be thinking, okay, this is just, aggressive business tactics. But it goes so much deeper than that. The owner of CSGO Roll, the site Monarch is targeting, is a man named Killian. And as it turns out, Monarch and Killian aren't just competitors. They actually used to be business partners. So here's the core of the conflict, right? Monarch claims his former partner Killian totally betrayed him, stole his company, and has been trying to get him arrested or killed ever since. Killian's side of the story? He says it's a one-sided harassment campaign that's just driven by an obsession with revenge. The bottom line is, this isn't just business. This is deeply personal. And just in case there is any doubt about his motives, Monarch just lays it all out there. He believes life is long and that revenge doesn't have an expiration date. This was never just about cleaning up an industry, it's about settling a very old score. And this is where the story takes a much, much darker turn. Monarch's war doesn't stay online. It spills into the real world. One of his main targets is an influencer from his wall of shame, a streamer named Grim. The campaign against Grim escalated, and I mean dramatically. It started with online threats, but when Grim refused to drop his sponsor, the harassment moved offline. First, flyers were plastered all over his hometown. Then, Monarch paid people to set up a fake protest right in front of his house. Yeah, complete with tents and pitchforks. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, we are talking about 30,000 flyers. They were put in mailboxes, on cars, at high schools. They basically blanketed a town with a population of 30,000 people, with posters calling this guy a scammer, showing pictures of his house and his cars. And again, Monarch doesn't deny any of this. Actually, he takes credit for it. He sees Grim as an advertiser for his enemy, someone who's consciously scamming people. And because of that, these mafia tactics, as he calls them, are completely justified. In his mind, it's all fair game in a war. But here is this fascinating, kind of wild contradiction. Despite being the one behind this whole harassment campaign, Monarch claims he's the one who's genuinely scared for his own life. He believes his rival Killian is pure evil and has every reason to have him killed, which forces him to live with massive security. And in a moment of really dark irony, this is the reality for his target Grim. Because of the protest outside his home, Grim now has 24/7 security too, which is being paid for by his casino sponsor.
So you have two men locked in this feud, and both of them are now living in fear, surrounded by bodyguards.
So, okay, we've got millionaire casino owners at war, millionaire influencers hiring security. It's easy to get lost in all the drama, right? But if we just zoom out from this chaos for a second, a much more important question starts to emerge. When everyone at the top of this feud is making millions, who's actually paying the price for it all? Because this story isn't really about one rich guy harassing another. It's about the foundation this entire industry is built on. You see, the real victims here aren't the people on the wall of shame or the casino owners. They are the audience. This entire unregulated war is built on the back of a video game, and it's fueling a massive underage gambling problem that has been raging for years. While these millionaires are fighting their wars, kids are watching. They see their favorite influencers promoting these sites, and they get pulled into this rabbit hole of addiction, often starting when they're just 13 or 14 years old. That's the real consequence of all this. Which leaves us with this one last thought. In this lawless, unregulated digital world, where these feuds between powerful people create real-world harm for the vulnerable, who's supposed to step in? Who holds anyone accountable? It's a question that goes way, way beyond just one video game.